The story opens with the Predator traveling through deep space aboard his sleek alien spacecraft. He's on a mission that is purely instinctual, tracking a formidable prey across the galaxy as is customary in his warrior culture. This planet, however, is unlike any he has visited before. From orbit, he observes vast forests of luminescent plants, rivers of strange glowing liquid, and towering crystalline structures that sparkle in the planet's twin suns. Upon landing, the Predator moves cautiously through the dense alien wilderness. The air is thick with unfamiliar scents, the ground alive with strange creatures skittering and flying overhead. He is both alert and fascinated. Every sound and movement is potential prey or danger. His advanced senses detect unusual energy patterns, hinting at intelligent life. Despite his focus on the hunt, the Predator experiences a subtle shift, a spark of curiosity, almost admiration, at the planet's vibrant ecosystem. The usual singularity of his predatory instinct, kill or survive, is momentarily overshadowed by awe. He begins to notice things a hunter might typically ignore: the delicate balance of flora, the patterns of wildlife, and hints of a civilization that moves with both grace and purpose. This part establishes setting, mood, and tone, showing the Predator as a master hunter in unfamiliar territory. It also subtly plants the seeds of change. His fascination with this world hints that this mission will evolve beyond a simple hunt. The void of space stretched endlessly, dark and silent, broken only by the cold glimmer of distant stars. The Predator's sleek spacecraft sliced through the cosmos, a shadowy predator gliding toward its next hunt. Inside, the creature's multi-layered vision scanned the approaching planet. Sensors flickered across his HUD, displaying a world that pulsed with life unlike anything he had encountered before. Twin suns bathed the landscape in gold and violet light, reflecting off vast forests of towering, luminescent trees. Rivers glowed faintly like molten crystal threading through the dense vegetation, and jagged crystalline mountains rose like ancient sentinels on the horizon. As the ship descended, the Predator's senses tuned to the planet's rhythms. The air shimmered with energy. Strange scents, sweet, metallic, electric, filled his nasal cavity. Each sound was a signal, a whisper of movement in the alien flora, a flutter of wings overhead, the rustle of creatures with legs far too many to count. He was a hunter, but here the world itself seemed alive with its own hunting instinct. Every step onto the forest floor was met with soft squelches, faint vibrations signaling unseen life below. The Predator crouched low, cloaking his presence as he moved with deliberate precision. His gaze swept through the trees, picking up heat signatures from creatures small and large. Some scuttled in the underbrush, their translucent skin pulsing with color as if in communication. Others flew overhead, their wings creating soft hums that resonated in the Predator's advanced auditory sensors. He noted patterns, predator and prey alike, the eternal dance of survival that fascinated him even as he hunted. It was then that he detected it, a faint energy signature, unlike the animals that dominated the forest. It was deliberate, controlled, and intelligent. The readings pulsed steadily, human-like in structure but tinged with something unfamiliar. His instincts prickled. This was not just prey. This was something else. Something. Alive in a way that demanded observation. Cautious curiosity replaced pure predation. He moved silently through the alien undergrowth, each step measured. Bioluminescent plants brushed against his armored skin without making a sound, their leaves glowing like living lanterns. In the distance, he glimpsed movement. Figures tending to the crystalline rivers, their motions fluid, purposeful, almost ritualistic. Their forms were humanoid, yet unlike any species he had studied. Their skin shimmered with faint iridescence, their eyes glimmering with intelligence and awareness of forces far beyond ordinary comprehension. Even as he remained hidden, the Predator felt a flicker of something he had never known. Intrigue, a curiosity that ran deeper than the hunt. The forest was beautiful, violent, and alive, but these beings added a new dimension, mystery and potential challenge. He paused, tilting his head as he observed one of the figures performing a ritual, hands raised to the glowing river as though coaxing it into harmony. The scene was mesmerizing, and for a brief moment the Predator forgot the hunt. In that moment, the hunter became more than a killer. He became a silent observer, fascinated by this world and its inhabitants. Somewhere in the dense forests, the pulse of life and intelligence awaited him. hinting at a story far larger than the game he had come to play. And as the twin suns sank lower on the horizon, casting long shadows across the glowing landscape, the predator realized this hunt would not be simple. Someone here had already begun to change him. Night fell quickly on the alien planet, the twin moons casting silver-blue light over the luminescent forest. Shadows stretched between the towering, glowing trees, and the forest floor pulsed with life. The predator moved cautiously, cloaked in his advanced camouflage, every sense alert. His hunt had led him deeper into unknown territory. Yet his focus was no longer solely on prey. It was on the faint energy signature he had detected, intelligent and deliberate. Through the dense underbrush he spotted movement. A figure emerged, a woman humanoid but ethereal, her skin shimmering faintly under the moonlight. Her movements were graceful, almost ceremonial, as she approached the crystalline river. In her hands she carried an object that seemed to channel the river's energy, lifting it in flowing arcs with careful precision. She was not afraid. She did not run at the slightest rustle of the forest. Instead, she commanded her surroundings, bending the natural energy of the planet as if she were part of it. The predator paused, observing. His instincts as a hunter were on alert, but a strange curiosity held him back from attacking. He had faced countless dangerous opponents across countless worlds. Yet this woman radiated something entirely new, a mix of strength, intelligence, and serenity. He watched as she performed her ritual, small sparks of energy arcing from her fingertips into the river, creating a dazzling light show that reflected in her wide, intelligent eyes. Suddenly, the ground trembled lightly, a sign that something else was approaching. The woman didn't flinch. She seemed attuned to the forest in ways the predator could not yet understand, her senses alert to dangers invisible to him. He realized that while he had tracked countless prey, he had never encountered someone who could perceive and interact with the world around them so profoundly. As she finished the ritual, she looked toward him. Not with fear, but with awareness. The predator froze. He had expected confrontation, panic, perhaps a fight, yet her gaze was steady, curious even. For the first time he felt observed, studied, evaluated by an equal. Her eyes met his, and something unspoken passed between them. Recognition, acknowledgement, a spark that neither predator nor prey could define. Instinct warred with emotion. The predator's urge to hunt was strong, but it clashed with an unfamiliar feeling, a pull toward connection, toward understanding. He realized she was not prey. She was not a threat in the conventional sense. She was different, perhaps stronger than him in ways he did not yet comprehend. For a long moment, the forest held its breath. The hum of nocturnal life, the glowing rivers, the whispering leaves, all seemed to pause as predator and alien woman faced each other across a few silent meters. Then slowly she raised her hand, a gesture of peace, a silent invitation to step closer, to witness the world as she did. The predator, intrigued and cautious, lowered his weapon, at least partially. This encounter, he realized, would not be resolved through violence. There was something here, something beyond hunting or killing that demanded attention, patience, and perhaps even trust. As he watched her retreat gracefully toward her village, blending into the glowing landscape as if she belonged entirely to it, the predator felt a strange pull, an unfamiliar desire to follow, to learn, to see more. For the first time in his long existence, the hunter was curious about something other than blood and trophies. He was curious about her. The predator moved through the alien forest in silence, each step measured, every sense stretched to its limits. The thrill of the hunt was still there, his instincts razor-sharp, alert to every vibration in the glowing underbrush, but now, they were tangled with something he had never experienced before. Curiosity, fascination, even longing. The woman's presence lingered in his mind like a phantom scent, impossible to ignore. At first, the predator told himself it was simple. She was a potential target, a challenge. But every time he observed her from the shadows, he saw something that confused him. She was not weak. She was not prey in any conventional sense. Her movements were deliberate, her mind sharp, her senses seemingly connected to the planet itself. She commanded the elements around her, effortlessly interacting with the rivers, the wind, and the glowing flora. Even his advanced hunting instincts could detect her superiority in ways he had never encountered. The predator's internal conflict grew. Hunting was his nature, It was all he had ever known, tracking, observing, striking. And yet, when he followed her from a distance, he found himself protecting her without realizing it. He would intercept smaller predators, alien beasts that might threaten her. He would redirect falling debris, or silently remove obstacles that endangered her path. Each act went against his ingrained instincts, yet brought a sense of satisfaction he couldn't name. At night, cloaked in invisibility, he observed her village. From a distance, he saw her interact with her people, guiding them, comforting them, teaching them. She laughed softly, her voice carrying like music through the luminous trees, and he realized that this sound, this simple human-like joy, stirred something deep within him. It was not the thrill of the hunt, not the excitement of the kill. It was emotion. The predator struggled with what this meant. To hunt was to dominate, to assert power, to survive. To feel connection, admiration, or affection? These were unknown territories, vulnerabilities that a hunter could not afford. He found himself questioning his own nature. Was he still the apex predator he had always been? Or was he changing irrevocably in ways that might compromise everything he had trained for his entire existence? Then one night, a dangerous alien predator, larger and faster than anything he had encountered on this planet, entered the area near her village. The predator moved instinctively to intercept, cloaking himself as he stalked the beast. For the first time, he realized the truth. He was no longer protecting the woman because he had to, but because he wanted to. The desire to keep her safe was stronger than the desire to hunt. His instincts, his training, his very identity were colliding with something alien even to him, love, or whatever closest approximation his species could understand. As he faced the beast, the predator knew one thing: the rules had changed. The hunt was no longer just about survival or honor. It was about her. And the moment he stepped forward to strike, he accepted that nothing, neither instincts nor culture, neither fear nor pride, would stop him from confronting this strange new conflict inside himself. The forest seemed to hold its breath. The glowing rivers shimmered under the twin moons, and the night hummed with life. In that moment, the predator realized that the greatest challenge he had ever faced was not the hunt itself. It was understanding the unfamiliar, untamed force stirring within him, desire, empathy, and perhaps the first sparks of love. Dawn broke over the glowing forest, painting the luminescent trees in shades of pink and violet. Mist rolled through the crystalline rivers, swirling around the predator's cloaked form as he observed from the shadows. For days he had followed her, careful not to reveal himself. Yet now something inside him urged him forward, not to hunt, not to attack, but to connect, to understand. The woman appeared first, stepping lightly along the riverbank. Her movements were precise, almost ritualistic, as she drew symbols in the glowing water with her hands. Her eyes lifted, scanning the forest, and for a heartbeat the predator froze. She was aware, but instead of fear or alarm, her gaze held curiosity, calmness, and something deeper. It was as if she could sense him, feel his presence without seeing him. Tentatively, he revealed himself, stepping into view, but keeping a respectful distance. His cloaking device flickered off, revealing the alien warrior's armored form, his mandibles moving slightly in hesitation. The woman did not step back. Instead, she raised her hand slowly, a gesture of peace. She spoke a word, a sound foreign to him, melodic yet commanding, and the predator's advanced auditory sensors detected a resonance that seemed almost communicative. He watched, intrigued and cautious. For the first time, the predator realized that dialogue could exist without weapons, without dominance, without fear. He tried to respond in his own way, emitting low clicks and vibrations, subtle movements of his body meant to show he was not a threat. Slowly, the woman mirrored him, tilting her head and extending a hand in a gesture that seemed to invite understanding. Time seemed to pause. Around them, the forest hummed softly, bioluminescent leaves swaying in an invisible wind. The glowing river reflected their forms, predator and alien woman, standing opposite each other in a delicate balance of tension and curiosity. The predator noticed small details, her eyes wide and luminous, never wavering. The way her fingers moved through the energy of the water as if weaving threads of life itself. The aura of power and intelligence that radiated from her. As moments passed, a bond began to form. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but undeniable. She reached out further this time, her hand brushing against a floating spark of energy that hovered near him. The predator instinctively mirrored her motion, extending a clawed hand toward the spark. When their gestures met, the spark danced between them, illuminating the space with a warm glow. In that simple act, trust was born. The woman spoke again, her voice carrying a rhythm that resonated deep within the predator's perception. He could not understand the words, but he understood the intent. She was inviting him to stay, to witness, to engage with her world without violence. A strange warmth stirred in him, an emotion he could not categorize. It was not hunger, not rage, not dominance. It was curiosity, admiration, fascination, perhaps even respect. As the sun rose higher, scattering light across the glowing forest, the predator realized he was no longer just a hunter. He was a witness, a participant in a connection that transcended species, worlds, and instinct. And as he stepped slightly closer, careful not to break the fragile trust forming between them, he felt something he had never felt in his long life of hunting. The pull of something far greater than the chase, far more dangerous and exhilarating than any prey. A bond with another being, one that might change him forever. Days turned into weeks as the predator lingered on the planet, no longer merely an observer, but an active participant in a rhythm he had never known. He stayed hidden most of the time, watching her interact with her people, teaching, guiding, healing. But gradually he began to step closer, always careful, always respectful. Every encounter revealed more about her intelligence, her empathy, her strength, and the more he learned, the more he felt something stir deep within him, fascination, admiration, and an unfamiliar pull he could only recognize as the beginning of attachment. He began to learn the rituals of her people, mimicking them in the shadows. He watched her gather luminous plants, study the energy flows of the rivers, and commune with the wildlife in ways that suggested harmony rather than dominance. The predator, a creature born for violence and survival, found himself drawn to these small acts of balance and care. He began experimenting cautiously, interacting with the environment in ways she had taught him through observation alone. One evening, as twin moons rose, casting silver light over the glowing trees, she caught him attempting to channel a spark of energy from the river. At first he feared she would be angered, that his presence would be rejected. But instead she smiled, a small, radiant gesture, and stepped closer. Without words, she guided his hands, showing him how to feel the subtle currents around him. In that moment, something shifted. The predator and the alien woman were no longer hunter and prey. They were teacher and student, companions exploring a world together. Their bond deepened in quiet, unspoken ways. She taught him to see beauty in life beyond the hunt, the subtle glow of a nocturnal flower, the song of alien birds echoing through the crystalline mountains, the delicate balance of predator and prey in her forests. He, in turn, protected her, intervening silently whenever danger approached, whether a rogue beast or a natural threat. Every act of protection was instinct, yes, but it was also a conscious choice, a reflection of the feelings growing within him. The predator began to feel something he had never allowed himself to experience: vulnerability. To care, to admire, to want to be near someone without the compulsion to kill or dominate. It was foreign, intoxicating, and frightening. Yet with every shared moment, every mirrored gesture, every silent understanding, he felt the pull of connection tighten. He realized that she had awakened something in him that no hunt, no challenge, no conquest ever had: the possibility of love. As the forest shimmered under the twin moons, the predator observed her from a short distance. She was laughing softly, the sound carrying like music across the glowing foliage. He felt a surge of emotion he could not name, a combination of awe, desire, and protectiveness. And as she turned her gaze, seemingly sensing his presence, their eyes met. Hers filled with calm intelligence, his with something raw, yet restrained. A silent promise passed between them. He would stay. He would protect. He would learn. For the first time in his life, the predator was not hunting for survival, trophies, or honor. He was drawn to something far more elusive and dangerous, a bond that transcended species, instinct, and worlds. And in that quiet moment beneath the alien moons, he knew that his life had irrevocably changed. The tranquil rhythm of the alien planet shattered one afternoon, as a distant rumble echoed across the crystalline mountains. From the forest canopy, the predator detected the intruders. a rival alien species, heavily armed and vicious, moving with lethal intent toward the woman's village. Their energy signatures were chaotic, aggressive, and unmistakably predatory. This was no ordinary threat. It was a calculated invasion, designed to overpower the inhabitants and seize control of their unique energy resources. The predator's instincts ignited instantly. Every muscle tensed, every sensor heightened. He could have attacked immediately, using his advanced weaponry to strike from the shadows, but he hesitated. His hesitation was not fear. It was a recognition that the stakes had changed. This was no longer a hunt for sport. The woman and everything she had taught him to value about life and connection were at risk. Protecting her meant more than survival. It meant defending something he had come to care about deeply. As the invaders approached the village, the woman stood at the forefront, her energy radiating in shimmering waves across the ground. She attempted to rally her people to push back with the power of her rituals, but the alien force was relentless. Weapons fired. Energy blasts lit the trees ablaze, and the once glowing rivers churned violently. The predator struck, cloaked in invisibility. He moved like a ghost through the chaos, striking precise blows, dismantling weapons, and neutralizing attackers with lethal efficiency. His instincts as a hunter were unmatched, but now they were guided by emotion rather than bloodlust. Every motion, every attack, every calculated kill was for her, to protect her, to preserve the fragile bond they had begun to share. In the midst of battle, the woman sensed him. Their eyes met across the smoke and fire, and for a moment time slowed. She knew he was there, not as a threat, not as a predator, but as an ally. Together, silently, they coordinated instinctively, her rituals manipulating the environment, his strength and cunning eliminating threats before they reached the village. It was a dance of trust, of shared purpose, a fusion of strength and strategy that neither had known before. Despite their efforts, the enemy was overwhelming. The predator was injured, clawed and scorched by a powerful energy weapon, but he refused to retreat. The woman sensed his pain and extended her psychic energy, a surge of power that enveloped him, stabilizing his injuries and reinforcing his resolve. Their connection deepened in that moment, no words exchanged, yet their bond spoken clearly through action, protection, and trust. As the last of the invaders fell, silence returned to the village. The fires died down and the glowing rivers shimmered once more. The predator, battered but unbroken, stood beside her. He realized something profound. His life as a solitary hunter was over. The strength, trust, and emotion he had discovered through her had awakened a new purpose. Protecting her and her world was no longer optional. It was imperative. For the first time, the predator understood that the greatest battles were not just physical, they were emotional. And he had fought them all, emerging not only victorious but changed forever. The aftermath of the battle left the forest scarred and smoldering. Trees lay shattered, rivers churned with debris, and the alien village was battered but not broken. The predator, though victorious, was gravely wounded. His armor was scorched, his limbs slashed, and his breathing came in heavy, ragged bursts. Pain, sharp and unrelenting, coursed through him, but he had no time to rest. Another wave of danger loomed. The rival species had retreated only to regroup, and the woman's people remained vulnerable. Despite his injuries, the predator moved toward her village, determined to ensure their safety. He sensed the approach of another threat, a massive beast more powerful than anything he had faced, moving with predatory precision. Every instinct screamed to strike, to hunt, to survive. But a deeper instinct, the one born of his bond with the woman, overrode all else. This was no longer about him. This was about her, about protecting the fragile life and world he had come to cherish. As the beast lunged, he intercepted it with all his remaining strength, taking the full brunt of its attack. Pain exploded through him, blinding and suffocating, and he fell to the ground. The world tilted violently, darkness creeping at the edges of his vision. It was then that she appeared, radiant, calm, and powerful. Her hands glowed with the psychic energy that had first captivated him, and she channeled it with precision. She enveloped the predator in a shimmering cocoon, mending his wounds, reinforcing his strength, and shielding him from further harm. The experience was transformative. For the first time, the predator felt the intertwining of physical and emotional connection, a bond that was neither instinct nor strategy, but something far more profound. His mind and body were healed, yes, but more importantly, His understanding of himself and of love shifted. The connection they shared was not just protective or utilitarian, it was mutual, sacred, and transformative. When the battle finally ended, they stood together, surrounded by the quiet glow of the forest. The predator, though still massive and intimidating, felt lighter, freer, and profoundly changed. He looked at her, and in her gaze he saw reflection, strength, trust, and a recognition that he was no longer merely a solitary hunter. He was part of something greater, a bond that transcended species, worlds, and instinct. The woman reached out, touching his armored shoulder, and for a moment, words were unnecessary. The energy between them hummed like the pulse of the planet itself. In that quiet communion, the predator understood the truth. Sacrifice was not weakness, and vulnerability was not defeat. True strength came from connection, from trust, from love. As the twin moons rose over the horizon, casting silver light across the shattered forest, the predator realized he would never return to his old life. He had glimpsed something far beyond hunting or conquest, a future intertwined with another being, a life forged in struggle, trust, and unspoken devotion. And in that moment, he knew whatever challenges awaited, whatever battles loomed, he would face them not alone, but with her by his side, forever changed, forever bound. The forest had begun to heal. The shattered trees mended with the passing weeks, rivers cleared, and the village thrived once more under the guidance of the woman. The twin suns rose each day over a world that had survived chaos, thanks in no small part to the predator. Yet as the days passed, a silent question weighed on him, the choice between the life he had always known, solitary, endless hunting across countless worlds, and the life that now beckoned him, rich with connection, purpose, and love. He observed the woman leading her people, her laughter echoing through the glowing forest, her hands guiding the rivers and nurturing the wildlife. Every movement, every act was a reminder of what he had fought for and what he had come to cherish. The pull toward her was undeniable, stronger than any prey-driven instinct he had ever felt, and for the first time the predator understood what it meant to choose not for honor, not for survival, but for love. One evening, under the light of the twin moons, the predator approached her. The air shimmered with the gentle glow of the bioluminescent forest, the hum of life soft and steady around them. He knelt, a gesture alien yet respectful, and extended his hand toward her, not as a weapon but as an offering. The woman met his gaze, understanding immediately. Words were unnecessary. The connection between them was clear, transcending language, species, and worlds. The choice was made silently. The predator would remain. He would forsake the endless hunts, the solitary existence of a warrior across the stars, for a life that promised challenge in a new way, the challenge of love, of trust, of partnership. In turn, she accepted him fully, seeing beyond his fearsome appearance to the being beneath, loyal, protective, and capable of deep emotion. Together, they walked through the luminous forest, side by side. He taught the people skills of protection, strategy, and survival, blending his formidable strength with their knowledge of the planet. She taught him harmony, compassion, and the intricate balance of life on her world. Their bond deepened not just as lovers, but as partners, teachers, and guardians. The days turned to months, and the predator, once feared across galaxies, found purpose in protecting and nurturing. He no longer stalked prey across distant worlds. He now hunted dangers to the village, defended its inhabitants, and explored the mysteries of the planet with the woman he loved. In her eyes, he saw a reflection of what he could be, a creature of honor, strength, and heart. And as the twin moons rose once more, casting silver light across the vibrant, thriving world, the predator understood fully, love was not a weakness. It was the ultimate transformation, the greatest conquest he had ever faced. In choosing her, he had chosen life in its fullest sense. Together they stood amid the glowing forest, a predator and a guardian, a hunter and a healer forever bound across the stars. The hunt was over. A new journey had begun, one of love, unity, and a future that spanned worlds.